topic number one of the day, guys, I wanted to talk about Civilization, a game and a series in which has kind of dated back since 1991 and really has seen a lot of peaks and valleys, like a lot of series that we talk about here on the YouTube channel. Well, I want to talk about what happened to Civilization and what could we expect for the future. So let's talk about it. So guys, like I said, this is a series, guys, that is a strategy game that, of course, dates all the way back to 1991. And so if you look at the release timeline, you got 1991 is when the original Civilization came out, and then a few years later, you had Colonization come out. Civ 2 or Civilization 2 came out in 1996, and then along the way, guys, had some different names for this series. Not only like Colonization, then you had CivNet, you had Civ City Rome, you had Civilization Revolution, Civilization 3, 4, 5, and then of course 6. Now, of course, there were expansions along the way that came out, that being like Civilization Beyond Earth, Civilization Revolution 2. So you had a number of different expansions. So between 1991 and 2016, you have a number of the main games, that being 6 in total, but then you also had, of course, the expansions. Now, here's the interesting thing is we haven't had a new Civilization since Civilization 6 back in 2016. Now, there is, of course, the latest release being Civilization 6 Gathering Storm, an expansion for Civilization 6. But I think the big question, guys, is a lot of people have asked, what happened to this franchise? Because it was a franchise that obviously had some significant peaks and then it had some valleys as well, that being like some of the expansions weren't very well received. Some of the reception wasn't very good either for some of these games as well. And so in 1996, Next Generation listed the series as number 4 on their top 100 games of all time, commenting that Sid Meier's goal was to give players the chance to play God, and he succeeded admirably. So here's the thing. Civilization is considered to have introduced the defining elements of that genre, in particular the complexity of interlocking gameplay systems introduced in the first Civilization game. So really, guys, when Civilization first came out, this was a series that was like redefining and kind of like really innovating the strategy genre at that time. And over time, a lot of times though, guys, you'll notice like in a lot of different video games, sometimes it's really hard to kind of hit on what all of those other games in the past did so well and try to almost reimagine and try to continue innovating as you go. And I think Civilization was just kind of one of those games where there were times where they were trying to kind of raise the bar, so to speak, in the series, but they just weren't able to do those things and didn't meet quite expectations. And I think that there have been certainly very good additions to Civilization. I think there's absolutely no debate about that. I actually really enjoy a lot of the games. I even enjoy Civilization 6 at this point. But where is Civilization 7? Are we going to be getting that at some point or another? If we look at between Civilization 5 and 6, you got about 6 years between the two of them. And then between Civ 4 and 5, you have 5 years. And then 4 between Civ 3 and Civ 4, and so on and so forth. So it's not like there's like significant stretches of time between these games. Besides really Civilization 2 and Civilization 3, one coming out in 96, the other coming out in 2001. So what I'm getting at here, guys, is it's, 2016 to now, obviously we're getting around that time frame where you would think we're probably going to start hearing some rumors about a Civilization 7. The question is, guys, do you think Civilization as a franchise still holds enough of those values and such of the game and enough of that groundwork that they built for so many years to continue the franchise and it be super successful? I think they do. I certainly think Civilization is a very successful franchise at this point, even though it's had some ups and downs. But guess what, guys? Even the best and biggest franchises out there, like the Call of Duties of the world, World of Warcraft, and a number of other games that have continued and tested time as far as just how many the sheer amount of games they've brought out in those franchises, even like the Final Fantasies of the world. There's always been games that haven't been as good as some of the predecessors or whatever the case might be. So I think that when you look at Civilization as a franchise, you have to look at it from a couple of aspects. There has been some, titles that haven't been as good. Then there's others that are ranked as some of the best, like, all time. So when you look at those things, I really trust and I believe in like the publishers as well as the developers of this franchise. And I really think that there is going to be a Civilization 7. So for those of you who are excited and are really hoping for continuations of this franchise, if Gathering Storm doesn't quench your thirst, I think a Civ 7 is going to be coming out in the foreseeable future, probably in the next couple of years, I would say. But I think, guys, what happened with this franchise is like so many other franchises we talk here on the YouTube channel. There's, of course, lots of peaks, there's some valleys, but all in all, there's a consistent trend upwards and forwards in this franchise. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of Civilization as a franchise? What do you think kind of happened? Where do you think the turning point was? Which game do you think was kind of the point where things started to kind of go south in the franchise? And then what game brought it back? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And for more Civilization content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.